The best way to learn Laravel is by building a real-world app. That's why we will build an expense tracker to track our daily expenses, and at the end of this course, we will deploy it so every night, before we go to sleep, we track the expenses for that day. Not only the app is useful, but it is a great example to learn Laravel. At this point, we already know how to return a view, and of course, take a look at the view inside the browser. So this is the welcome view. And as we said, all the views that we have created till now are blade views, blade files. So the first question is, what is a blade file? Blade is a template engine that comes by default with your Laravel installation. A blade file is just a PHP file. You can verify it here, .php. But it is a PHP file on steroids, and its purpose is to help you build maintainable user interfaces. The welcome view uses some blade directives, we call them, like this if statement here. And because this is a PHP file, you can use PHP classes like this route class directly in the view. Those one of the advantages of Blade are directives like this if directive. But as I said, this is just PHP code. You could replace this line of code with just PHP. So we can say PHP if and then route has login, and then like that, close it. And of course, we need the and if there. There you go. So this line here is exactly as this part here. Of course, we have to close it in order to avoid any errors, PHP errors, but they are the exact same one. Let me actually show you how this works. So this line here compiles to this one here. If you go to storage and then framework, views, just delete everything so you only have one compiled PHP class. And then go to your view, reload the page, and we should have it here, and here it is. So if I open this, you can see that our code has been compiled. So let me open them side by side so you can view exactly how this looks like. So on the left, this is our Blade file, and this is what we have. So we have two lines here. This is PHP code, and then this is PHP code again, but with Blade directives. And this is the translation. This is how it has been translated to. And we only care about this part here because this is the first line here. But as I said, we have to close this. Otherwise, if you don't close it, you will get an error, of course, because it has to be closed. So let me bring this back. But the idea is that this exact line is compiled to what we have here. So this is what Blade does. It just makes it easier for us to write clean, maintainable views. But at the end of the day, everything is compiled down to PHP code, to plain vanilla PHP code. So for sure, something like this is very, very readable. And this is what we're going to use throughout this course, Blade directives. So let me get rid of this part here. And of course, close the compiled PHP code. Okay. For the expense tracker, we would need two pages, one page called dashboard and another one called categories, where we can manage all the categories for our expenses like home category, groceries, bills, transportation, etc. So let's start by creating the dashboard view. You can create it manually as we did with a pricing page, or you can run a PHP artisan command that can make it easier for you. So in the terminal, run PHP artisan, make view, and then call it dashboard. And as you can see, it created a view for us, a Blade view. Okay, so let's do the same for the categories. PHP artisan, make view. For the categories, I want to create an index view, but I want to add it to a directory. So categories/index. And here it is. Of course, these views without a route make no sense, right? So let's go down here and create a route view for the dashboard. And we can call it dashboard. This is the view. And another one for the categories. categories.index. So if we go back to the browser, we will not see anything because these views are empty. So let's just say here dashboard and open the categories and call this categories, just an H1 tag. Okay, so if I go to dashboard, we do see the dashboard H1. And if I go to categories, we do see the categories H1. Perfect. Since we are now building a real app, let's remove some of this code that is not necessary anymore. But of course, you know that in Laravel, you can create and you can return a lot of type of responses like numbers, JSON, and so on. So let me just delete all of this stuff. We will not need it. And of course, the pricing as well is not needed. So now we are fresh with only the things we need, the dashboard and the categories. Now, for the dashboard, I would like to pass some data to it. We want to view some information like how much were my expenses today or how much were my expenses this month. So in order to do that, we have to pass data to the dashboard. The first step is to convert this from a view to a GET request, to a GET route. And of course, this requires a function here to make it work. And for now, we will just return the view dashboard. And I will do the same for the categories. So instead of view, we return a function that returns the view categories. And this has to be inside categories.index. Okay, so in order to pass data down to the view, all you have to do is to pass a second parameter to the view method, to the view function, and let's call this total today, and let's say 45, and total month, let's say 900. In order to access this data inside your view, all you have to do is to say PHP echo total today. And let's do the same for PHP echo total month. If you go back to the dashboard, you should be able to see 45 and 900. So not only we were able to pass down data to the dashboard view, but we are now also able to display that data. So we previously took a look at the if directive. Now, Blade has something else as well for displaying data, which is with double curly braces. So if you say double curly braces, and then we can say total today and double curly braces, total month, and we go back to the view. Again, we do see the same result, of course, because we have this the first one, which uses PHP vanilla code, and this is the directive of Blade that echoes the result. Of course, we prefer this one compared to this one, right? So I will just delete this. But at the end of the day, this is very similar to this code here. And if you want to take a look, as I said, is very similar, not similar, is very similar. So the way, of course, you can take a look at is by going to the views here. I will just delete everything and refresh, and this compiles the Blade file. So it is very similar, with the only difference is that for this double curly braces, it also uses the E function, which is just an extra function in order to encode HTML special characters to prevent XSS attacks. If you want the exact same result, you have to use curly brace, single one, and then with double exclamation marks, and you can pass the variable total today. So let me just delete that, reload, and now it should be similar. So yeah, so this one is similar as this one, and this corresponds to these two. Okay, so let me bring this back. Let me just delete everything. I just want double curly braces for now. It's not a problem. And reload the page. This is enough for this video. In the next one, we will do something very interesting. We will perform an XSS attack in this app and see how and why and how to prevent against it and everything that you need to know for XSS attacks. If you enjoyed this video and want more, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm also working on a Laravel boilerplate built with domain-driven design, which I already use for my SaaS, gaplos.com. It comes packed with tons of features and of course full DDD support. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.